Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to the Entitled Asshole Report. Today I have 3 different situations of entitlement that I'm going to be discussing, and it took me a little while to find these, but I finally did, and we're finally going to be discussing them. Let's get started. Before this begins, I did just want to say that most of these aren't really big or mainstream cases of entitlement. I feel like they didn't really make big waves online, more like small little ripples. If you happened to come across them, then people saw them and they were like, what the fuck? But they weren't like big blown out things where if you posted about them, everybody knew what you were referring to. They were just smaller scale things. Sometimes it's the smaller scale cases of entitlement that truly are just more like, what the fuck? I did just also want to make the disclaimer that most of these cases are done with, over with now, and so I'm not trying to evoke any new hatred towards anybody involved in this. I don't need a whole new hate train to leave the station, but these are still things I wanted to talk about, and since they were made public online, I can talk about them. So for this first case of entitlement, this goes back to the beginning of August, and this is a post that I saw come across my For You page that people obviously didn't receive very well. And this post came from a mother by the name of Caroline, who has since deleted the original video, but I had it saved so we can talk about it. So Caroline posted this video to TikTok that showcased her in the restroom at Target, showing the open stall door and her baby in the shopping cart in front of her while she presumably sat on the toilet. The text over the video read, having to pee like this: single women, please stop taking the big stall when you're all alone and physically capable. She then continued her rant in the caption of the video saying, not the first time I've had to do this. When there are 5 stalls, all pretty clean, and you walk in alone to the big stall, you make moms angry. Not only do I have a baby with me, but I also have that mom bladder. No, I'm not waiting on you to finish your poop in the big stall. Open door peeing it is. Caroline obviously didn't receive the overwhelming amount of agreement and sympathy that she clearly craved from this video, and instead was met with a lot of backlash. So I foolishly deleted my screenshots of the comments of this video, and obviously the post has been deleted, so I can't just go re-get them. But the majority of the comments were saying things along the lines of, so this is actually insane. People also saying that despite what Caroline seems to think, the baby is actually removable from the cart and she can take it out when she needs to use the bathroom and put it right back. Several people also pointed out the fact that Target has a family bathroom that she could have used instead of this. Now, I want to be very clear in saying I'm not trying to minimize the struggles of being a parent, and I know that it must be difficult to have to do things like use the bathroom when you have your child with you in public. It also is a public bathroom, and the public is not obligated to cater to your every single whim and want, and every person in public can be struggling with something. Some people did try to come to Caroline's defense, saying things like, well, obviously she said if you're physically able to. Obviously she's not saying that people with actual handicaps shouldn't be using that stall. Like, she just doesn't want single people using this stall. Or she just doesn't want a random woman like using this stall. Which, fine, okay. But the fact still stands that there's no real way to tell why the person is in the handicapped stall. Did she see this woman walking into the bathroom before her and just piece together in her mind that she must be really physically capable of using a regular stall? Or did she see the woman exiting the stall and is just like, you look physically well to me? Or did she just walk into the bathroom and operate under the assumption that the person in the stall was physically well? I don't know exactly what happened, but despite what you see, there's all kinds of reasons why someone might be using the larger stall. A lot of the comments also disclose things like illnesses that cause dizziness and fatigue, which require the bar in the stall to help them stand up, or some people were even expressing things like just getting really claustrophobic and wanting the extra space. This might be a hot take, but in my personal opinion, if you're alone in the bathroom, I think you have free game to use whatever stall you want to. If you want to take the comfort of the big stall, by all means, take the comfort of the big stall. Now, obviously, if there's a line and there's someone who says they need the handicap stall, make sure they get it. Don't deliberately take it from somebody in need. That's not what I'm saying at all, but I don't think you have to just sit and wait around in case somebody comes in who happens to need it. And in most cases, people who go into the public restrooms are just peeing anyway, so it'll be quick, in and out, you know. No, I'm not waiting for you to finish your poop in the big stall. Okay, and nobody asked you to? I don't understand. I honestly think the entitlement when it comes to handicap stalls is insane. As I've said, don't deliberately take it from somebody who needs it. Make sure it's available to the people who need it. But it is insane. I remember several years ago seeing a video of this woman who was in a wheelchair, and she made some sort of joke that's like, oh, when I see a non-handicapped person in the handicap stall, and she was literally like shaking on the stall walls, beating on the door, and like rolling around across of it, making the person who was in the stall feel very uncomfortable. And I've seen several videos of the same nature featuring either someone in the stall or someone outside of the stall who is in a wheelchair or has more visible disabilities getting mad that there's someone in the stall who doesn't have as many visible disabilities. Once again, I must point out that just because a visibility isn't visible doesn't mean it's not there. And in my personal opinion, even if the person in the stall is in the wrong, even if they're wrongly using the stall, even if they stole it from you, settle the beef after they finish their business, okay? Making people uncomfortable when they're in one of the most vulnerable and uncomfortable positions, you know, using a public restroom, is just disgusting in my opinion. Scold them after they get out, I don't care. But in my opinion, there's really no justifiable reason to literally be shaking the stall walls, beating on them, and just causing a reaction like that. And technically, on a technicality, it is handicap accessible, not handicap exclusive. Restroom, I do wish that bathrooms had more handicap accessible stalls so that we could prevent issues like this. And obviously I wish people in the world weren't dickheads who intentionally stole the stall from people who need it. But harassing whoever's on the other side of the stall wall is just disgusting and entitled, in my opinion. And thinking you have more rights to the bathroom just because you have a baby is also entitled. If you've ever worked food service or any job in the service industry really, you would know how entitled customers can get and how prone they are to throwing fits when things don't go their way. I've been yelled at for prices I didn't make and have no control over. Hell, I've even been yelled at for doing exactly what the customer says but wasn't really what they meant, and I'm supposed to just read their mind and know that. One thing I've noticed that people are particularly obsessive over is their sauces. I can't speak for every food service worker, but I can say honestly that I've never intentionally shorted a customer of the sauces that they request. And there are certain guidelines we follow, like in training we were told like give this many sauces with this amount of nuggets or this amount of sauces with this sandwich unless specifically requested otherwise by the customer to help control the amount that's going out. But never have I ever just been like, oh, you asked for 2 ranches, I'm not gonna put them in the bag. If I've missed it, it's been a genuine accident or a miscommunication from somewhere of what you wanted. I remember being a kid watching the Roborazzi episode of Victorious where the rumors were started on Andre about being like addicted to ketchup. And he had this huge bottle of ketchup that he was pictured with. And I remember laughing it off thinking, that's silly. Like, that's funny, you know? Who would ever want a sauce bottle that big? Why would they even believe Andre would have a sauce bottle that big? And then I grew up and realized it's the customers. The customers would use that. It's to the point where if someone has a medical emergency, you probably don't even need to ask them what their blood type is. Just ask them what their condiment of choice is, since it seems to be running through their bloodlines the way that they're obsessed with it. Here's a PSA to all customers though, if we forget your sauce, just politely ask for it. We are humans who make mistakes, we can't read minds, sometimes there's miscommunications, Just ask and we'll fix it for you. You don't need to threaten my life because I didn't realize that my coworker didn't already put in your 15 packets of barbecue sauce. Anyways, here's the situation. I couldn't save the video, but I screen recorded it, so.
My kids went to McDonald's because we're hungry, and my son got a Happy Meal, and he loves ketchup, okay? The first McDonald's we went to, I said at the speaker, like, can I have extra ketchup, please? And when I got to the window, they forgot the ketchup, obviously.
In my opinion, if you're asking for extra ketchup in regards to that specific item, I would have assumed that you meant on the burger, so there's a chance that they, in fact, did put extra ketchup on the burger itself. Either way, yeah, sure, it's annoying they forgot the ketchup, but let's continue.
So I had to say again, can I have extra ketchup, please? And they give me like 4 ketchup. So then I tell my son, don't use the ketchup too fast because they only gave us 4 ketchup packs. So I'm gonna go to the McDonald's down the street and just ask for more ketchup.
Here's where the entitlement really begins to show. She said she asked for extra ketchup and was given 3 or 4 packets. 3 or 4, which I don't think is that unreasonable at all. I don't know what she ordered, but she said she ordered a Happy Meal for her kid. The Happy Meal burgers aren't that big. You really don't need that much ketchup to cover the whole area of the little patty that is given.
So I did. And I don't know what is up with McDonald's employees. They're so rude. They're literally so rude. Like when I say extra ketchup, it doesn't mean 4 or 5 ketchup packets. It means I want a fucking handful of ketchup. Not 4, not 3, not 5. A handful. A hefty handful of ketchup is what I'm asking for. That's what extra ketchup means. So then I go to the second McDonald's and I say, can I have extra ketchup? This is out the window. This is what she hands me. 3 ketchups. 3. And then I ask her again, can I have more? You know what she does? She gives me 1 more. I'm done.
She continues on about how she was only given 4 at the next stop, giving her a total of 8, by the way, and that when she asked for more, she was only handed 1 more packet, which brings her up to a total of 9 ketchup packets. At this point, like, how much do you need? If you know you need more than 9 or 10, why don't you just start being more specific and just drop them a number? So how was the employee meant to know how many extra packets you wanted? Customers are often a bit touchy when it comes to it, and if you give them too many, suddenly they're irritated and think that you're insinuating something about them that you're not, or they are mad that it's like a waste of ketchup or whatever, but then you don't give them enough and you're in this situation. If you know you need 15 or a hefty handful, why don't you just be more specific? And the fact that this can genuinely like ruin this woman's day, ruin her opinion of McDonald's, is insane to me. Like, yeah, sure, maybe it's irritating that they forgot or they didn't give you as many as you wanted, but literally just ask for more. Or say, hey, I really, really like ketchup. Can I have more than just 1 more extra packet? A conversation can be had. You just didn't want to have it. You'd rather take to the internet and complain. We don't know how far your condiment craze goes. Just tell us, and we'll help you. And this last case of entitlement also kind of involves the service industry, but instead of finding this in TikTok, I found this on Instagram from a page that I follow called Fuckwork Memes. They posted this picture saying that every job should pay a living wage, and this sent people into a spiral, instantly berating service workers and things of that nature. Now, someone also did comment on this, say, this is referring to every job, by the way, not just McDonald's. They're not the only workers who don't make a living wage. Teachers also don't, and this, which I know. I do believe everyone deserves a livable wage. Teachers, McDonald's workers, every job under the sun. But the comments specifically were going at, like, fast food workers, cashiers, so that's what I'm focusing on in my conversation. I'm also going to drop the disclaimer here that I agree with the post. No, slinging burgers doesn't compare to saving lives. In no way am I saying that McDonald's workers should be paid the same as a nurse or like a lawyer or whatever. But why shouldn't the fast food worker be able to live? The comment that irritated me the most said, unfortunately, this one was gonna get you the unfollow. Sorry, I just don't think this is true. I don't believe being a cashier at Walmart should allow you to buy a nice house, go on vacation, and live a comfortable, well-off life. I don't believe being a cashier at Walmart should allow you to live a comfortable and well-off life. I can agree to some extent that luxury vacations and big houses should be earned, but why does being a cashier automatically mean that you shouldn't be able to make a living wage? People aren't saying this because we want to have big luxuries. People are saying this because we literally just want to have somewhere to live and be able to eat without going into debt. The comment also sort of argued that people just don't want to work hard, and that's why they're working those types of jobs, and therefore they shouldn't be paid very highly for those jobs. But I can assure you, I don't think anyone who works in the service industry thinks it's a fucking cakewalk. Granted, there are some lazy people at the jobs, and there are some people who think they can just get away with things. But that's not the representation of every worker as a whole. For the most part, every worker I've encountered has actually just wanted to make an income and wanted a job. And I don't think that we should punish the good workers for a few bad apples in the bunch, you know? And obviously if they're a bad worker, they'll get their comeuppance, they'll get handled appropriately. But I don't think it's fair to assume that everybody who works these jobs is just looking for the lazy way out. Especially when people who work these types of jobs get a lot of hate from everybody in the world. You just don't want the cashier you just berated to have a nice life. You're just petty. Stop being bitter and entitled. I would hope that you would be able to have enough financial security in your job so as to not be threatened by the idea of a cashier making a livable wage. People also fail to take into account the fact that some people work these jobs because they're the only jobs they can get. Some people weren't able to go to college after schooling and get a degree, allowing them to get a higher up job that requires more education behind it. Some people might have had a slight criminal record from their past and are trying to make a better future, but they can't get a job anywhere else because nowhere else will hire them because of such. I know I've even struggled to get a better job just by being neurodivergent, because sometimes people just don't want that. A lot of people were also saying things like, oh, but like a lot of high schoolers and stuff work these jobs. Are you saying that they should just be able to go off and buy a house right now? What's so horrible about the idea of a high schooler hypothetically working a job, making a decent wage, and being able to save up for their future, have a little security for once they graduate? It's funny because people shame on these types of jobs, yet no one else wants to do them, and they're services that people don't want to live without. Remember back when everything was getting shut down because of COVID? Guess what stayed open? Fast food places, because everybody wanted fast food. Nurses who were working shifts, nurses and doctors who were working shifts, random people who just didn't want to cook. Everybody was coming for the fast food. What would people do if suddenly they couldn't hop in the drive-thru line for their daily morning coffee? And theoretically, if this was a really low starting off job and everybody just quit and got better jobs, then who would be working these jobs? People like to say teen, but then why are you coming through in the middle of the workday? Who's supposed to be working there then? I think this comment really nailed it. Not everyone should make the same amount of money, but a functioning society should indeed be able to ensure that every person willing to work has a place where they can contribute meaningfully and earn a living wage. This isn't just about fairness, it's about recognizing the value that every role brings to the community. When every job is compensated fairly, it ensures that all workers can live with dignity, participate fully in society, and contribute to the economy. And others said, living wage. Nobody is saying that McDonald's workers should make the same as a surgeon. Y'all need to go back to school. But why people are so upset over a hypothetical is beyond me. Because this isn't even the reality. But that is going to be all for this video in the cases of entitlement, and see y'all in my next video.